He was ridden by Adam Bashiza about as hard as a horse could be ridden in a race. He never gave up. He made a couple of minor moves in the race, and at the end of the day, did absolutely no running whatsoever. He took money that day. He also wasn't running against the kind of maidens he's running with here. I understand he got bet first time, but boy, this horse based in his first race, his next race will likely be for a tag. The 9 Laughing Boy to me is clearly the other horse in this race. And, you know, you look at that race, Business Model, who won the race, a Godolphin horse for trainer Brennan Walsh, that didn't run well, but didn't run that badly in a very tough allowance race on either opening day or second day, going a mile and an eighth, kind of buried inside. It was a decent enough field. The 4th place finisher was an Al Stall horse that you actually liked earlier in the card, and you were dead right about. Came back with about a 90 buyer, I think, to win and break his maiden. So that's a fairly live race. This horse was dueling with a 2nd place finisher and took a huge step forward. I thought he's outside the number 7, and he's really the only horse in here that's a reasonable alternative to 7. So I'll take a small shot to beat the favorite, but more, let me take a shot with the 2nd likeliest horse. To me, it's 9-7 and a long, long way back in all likelihood to everybody else. Race number 3. I thought race number 3 was one of the toughest races of the meet, actually. A very tough race, I thought, to wrap yourself around. But Anthony has the answer. He's going to pick for the 3rd straight time a horse that I've lectured him about 2 straight times at short prices. And now he's running in a tougher spot, and for some reason you think the Lonesome Fugitive's actually going to run today.
I don't think this is a tougher spot.
Really?
I don't think this is a tougher spot.
We couldn't beat Alley-Oop Johnny, and Alley-Oop Johnny rates to have an easier time today because he's the lone inside speed on the inner turf course, which has been an enormous...
What do you think Flickadat's going to do? Get tied to the gate?
He's not going to be in front of Alley-Oop Johnny. That's for sure.
I don't think he's going to be in front of him, but you think he's just going to let him lollygag on the front end?
No, but he'll be behind him. I assume he'll be tucked in behind him.
I think he'll be on top of him.
There's absolutely no chance of that. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay.
If Eric does that, my bet will lose. How is Lonesome Fugitive going to win? Where is his good race? That's my problem with him.
I liked this race last time with the blinkers coming off and a race that was just controlled on a very, very slow pace, by a slow pace.
But he never gained any ground.
There's going to be a little bit more pace in here. I thought his races without the blinkers were better than his 2 races with the blinkers, and I'm hoping that he gets a decent enough setup with Flickadat on top of Alley-Oop Johnny. They can't see you doing that because it's on a single shot.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on that you would give this horse another chance after picking him twice and seeing him not really do any running in his races. And he really never did any running in any of his races. And this is a horse, if you were having a negative opinion, you would say he can't handle he likes a yielding turf because the best race he ran was on a yielding turf.
Well, I mean, I don't think any of his races really stand out from the others.
So this one figures matter. Okay, no,
I'm not saying the figures matter. I'm just saying.
Listen, it's Chad Brown.
He's kind of run the same race. Save the race against Dreams for Tomorrow, 2 back. The rest of them kind of all been the same. I don't know.
Well, but 2 back against Dreams for Tomorrow.
I don't need figures to tell me that. This is what I mean when I watch
So
the
it
race.
is or isn't about figures?
I never make it about figures.
Well, you said he's run the same race. So it's obviously figures because he runs a similar figure every time.
No, I don't. Just because the figures are in line doesn't mean that's the only reason they're the same race.
Maybe he'll be that random Chad Brown horse that suddenly improves in his 7th start. It's always possible. I had a lot of trouble here. I ended up taking Click Attack. We'll take his last race. Now, listen, he had the run of the race last time. There's no doubt about it. And Cold Hard Cash, who finished 2nd, he blew the break, and we'll show that. Cold Hard Cash losing. Cold Hard Cash got an exceptional ride by John Velasquez to get it done last time out, coming up the inside. That was also a day last time with Cold Hard Cash where we got an enormous amount of rain right before that race. It was the only race we ran on the turf, and it was a race that was dominated forward. I think Cold Hard Cash ran well. At the end of the day, the more I looked at it, I think Click Attack might just be better than these horses. I think his body of work in his turf races is just a little bit better than these horses overall. So I'm going to take him. I hope that Eric tucks in behind the 2. I think you'll see some speed. Cold Hard Cash, maybe Jose will try to be a bit forward with him, assuming he breaks cleanly. And I'm hoping he gets a good trip behind him. But, one of the problems with the inner turf races here is with the bias that we've had. Last year when they took the rails down and this year, if you don't get rail position for at least a significant portion of the race, you basically have no chance. And I think that's the big problem for the 1X Atone, who appears to be, at least to me, the stronger half of the entry. So I actually like 1X Atone, but I just don't know how that horse works out a winning trip from the outside. Not Tyler's fault, but I don't know how he works out the right trip.
Yeah, I mean, unless the plan is to just rip them back and drop over once the gate opens, but how often does that work?
Yeah, and the reality of this race is that Alley-Oop Johnny's very dangerous the way the track is playing because he has the rail. Javier is acutely aware of the racetrack. He is going to send him. And if ever a horse deserved a win, he might have lost the toughest bob in the history of racing last time out to Smile Bryant. I thought this is a very tough race and made much more complicated by the fact that the inner turf. And the thing is, we can only run sprints on the melon turf. So all of the turf routes, not all of them, but most of the turf routes are run on the inner. And when you have this bias situation that we had last year, this week, when we took the rails down, and this year, it makes things very, very tricky. In a lot of ways, you have to just sort of hope you can get the best trick. And at least with a horse like Alley-Oop Johnny, you know you've got a horse that, barring a bad break, and you can't do anything about that, is going to be the controlling inside speed, and that makes him dangerous. Race number 4. I thought this was a tough race in the sense that any of the 2, 3, and 5 could win this race. We'll start with Palamos. And this one's on the melon, by the way. I mean, the reality of this race is that I thought Palamos ran pretty well in his last start in what was a decent field. Single Soul, though, did come back and run poorly. But I want to say, was he vanned off in that race?
I don't recall.
I think there may have been an issue after that race. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Still, this horse ran well in here, and it is a mile and 3/16. The one thing you know about him, as opposed to the 2 and 5, is that the distance will not be a problem for him.
No, she was fine last time. She ran fine last time. I don't know. I kind of feel like, again, she has her race at a mile and a 16th last year at Aqueduct in November was kind of the same as the race last time. I just don't know. There are some types, Andy, where they just run the same race regardless of condition and distance. And I don't know. She just feel like she doesn't look like the winning type.
I don't know. She lost to Counterparty Risk and ran some good fields. I don't think she's meeting any killers here. I mean, with Baby Blythe, who, I considered picking as well, the reality is that she was awful last time.
She was not good.
Now, she ran well in her first start and ran very well, and maybe she's just one that needed it off the layoff. And I've got her second and won't be surprised when she wins. In a way, I kind of want to bet her back. I bet so much on her last time. But I got to tell you, that was a disappointing effort.
It was, and you're hoping, if you like her today like I do, you're hoping she needed the race. And now Shug's taking her from the mile to the mile and 3/16. So you're hoping maybe she needed the race off the break. She gets a little bit more distance now. She's
bad last time.
By American Pharaoh, so distance shouldn't be an issue.
Well, I don't think the American Pharaoh has proven to be some effective, route sire, but you do hope. And Shug, and certainly she can win. I also think this is the race that came up, and Shug's not going to sit around and say, I'm going to wait for a mile and a 16th maiden race. I'm going to get in this race.
Right.
As far as investment income, the horse I end up putting on top, I don't know. We'll see. It is Monmouth, but the reality is that last race might have been okay. I thought it was a fairly strong race. Picks up Irad down the inside, thought would get a decent trip. I'd like to see Irad be a bit forward, but there are faster horses. The funny thing about the faster horses, they're horses like American Heiress, who did no running chasing the pace at Gulfstream, Tequila, who's trying the turf but doesn't really have a pedigree that suggests should move up on the turf, and Empress Theodoro, who actually you liked last time and ran well in the dirt, but well in an off-the-turf race, and It isn't a pedigree that really says this horse is supposed to be a turf horse.
No.
I think the 2 and 3 or 5 are going to win this race, and maybe you just sort of see what prices they are and you try to get through it. I didn't have a strong opinion.
I like the 2 and the 5 a little bit more than the 3, but yes, I think they're the 3.
Race number, I don't like anybody particularly more than anybody. Race number 5, I thought race number 5 was an extraordinarily difficult race. I found it a very, very tricky race to trust anybody. You're trying the 8 Cecilia Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to try Cecilia Mike from a man Wayne Potts.
Wayne Potts.
He needs a little help up front, obviously. And he got Windward Pride in here, who I would assume is going to set it. Maybe Wagon Boss from the outside draw.
Right, it's a very tepid pace on paper.
It's a weird race, yeah.
And he's a deep closer, so that's kind of problematic.
Well, I'm hoping the slow pace pulls him into the race a little bit more. That's what I'm hoping. And it happens a lot around here. And maybe just leave him with a little less to do.
That doesn't help closers when a slower pace. And he is a closer that has not been as particularly overall effective in 7-furlong races, and because 7-furlong races feature slower paces. So he's been more effective 6-furlong races. His last race is a funny race because he definitely broke slow and then got shut off. No question about it. But he was awful because Javier stayed in the rail. After the break, Javier did everything right. He stayed in the rail. Let me finish. And the pace completely incinerated in this race. And he's still running.
So he was off slow. He got shut off. He was 30-1. He got beat 5 lengths, but he was awful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was awful.
Wow.
Because the race was run in a manner where getting a bad break actually. Well, I'm trying to help people here.
If I would have said that just now, you would have thrown the bottle at me.
No, I wouldn't have, because I actually watched the race and I actually know what happened in there. It was a race that the dynamics greatly favored deep closer. And he made his run, and he didn't do any real running after there. We saw a horse break 5 lengths slow, and we've seen them win.
Yes, we have. We absolutely have.
You and I saw this very differently. I don't get Cecilia Mike. You like him. We'll see if you can get Wayne Potts home. I end up with Baby I'm Perfect for Rudy. And believe me, I don't love this horse. For what it's worth, off the claim in dirt sprints for Rudy. He is 52 for 172 in dirt sprints, but also turning back from a route to a sprint up the claim. He's 6 for 21 with a $3.05 ROI. He has some back races that can beat these. And this is one where, believe me, I'm grasping at straws. I don't like the race that he comes out of. He's going to have to take a big step forward because he stunk the joint up last time and the time before that. But I'm hopeful that he can get back to some of his better races for Rudy. And believe me, I don't have a strong opinion in this race. I don't really know. Win with Pride, I've got him in there, but he's a tough one to really like in this race.
But isn't Win with Pride the horse you got to worry about maybe just stealing away here and bottoming them out?
Isn't my horse going to be right outside of him, though?
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe he can't run anymore, but isn't Hammer and Hammer? I'm scared of Hammer and Hammer in this race. I think he's dangerous. I know he didn't run well last time, but you know what? Maybe cutting back will help him.
Maybe cutting back will help him.
It's a reclaim for Oscar Barrero. Actually, he ran well for 2 back. He runs the race he ran for Oscar 2 back. He can win this race. Now, he hasn't had the success in Saratoga that he was having down at Belmont Park, and that's a bit of a concern, but I think he can win here. I had a lot of trouble with this race, to be honest with you. I thought about Wagon Boss, but I don't know. He stunk last time.
He was awful last time.
It's a very, very tricky race. That's the first 5. We'll be back with the Pick 6. No carryover in the Pick 6.
Make business meetings exquisite. Make a weekend outing exquisite. Make a late night snack exquisite. Make a night on the town exquisite. For nearly 150 years, the Saratoga Spring Water Company has been producing the finest spring water available anywhere. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. The Big A, Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling. Saturday card here, day number 23 of the meet. 4-Star Dave Day. We'll talk about 4-Star Dave when we get to the race a little bit. Well, it's a Saturday maiden special weight, and it's interesting. We've talked about how one of the things that has been lacking, both the Saratoga meet and in general, are good 2-year-old colts. We've seen some nice 2-year-old fillies. And we saw a very promising debut for Steve Asmussen last week with a horse that set the record for him.
We also have Witt, don't we? Oh, he didn't debut up here.
No, but I'm saying overall. I mean, Witt's obviously okay. Yes. But we have not seen 90 buyer type. The only 90-plus buyer we've seen for the maidens was Zulu Alpha. We saw a couple of nice New York breds win, or Echo Zulu, excuse me, right. A couple of nice New York breds win here the other day, one for Jeremiah Englehart and one for Chad Brown. We'll see if we get him here. I've gone to horse that has started actually in this race, and that's the number 10 Montauk Point, who is a half 2.
I don't know.
Some horse that won the test a couple of years ago. I thought this horse was sort of rushed a little bit early. 3 to 4, 5 wide in there. To me, this was a clear Shug McGay horse that ran like he probably needed a start. And I'm going to hope that with that start under his belt, the half to Kofefi, I believe, will be effective. Will be effective. Second time out against the first-time stars. I like to side with horse with experience. You are going with the 8 General Strike. Is there a story on this horse?
No, this was a weird race. Half of the 10 are first foals. And truth be told, there was not a lot of the dams did not do a bunch of great work. Now, General Strike did 7 for 15. She was a multiple stakes winner. Steve Asmussen has worked 2 horses the week of the race. A very, very easy 3/8. They've both won. And he did the same thing here with General Strike. So following that work pattern and the fact that the mare did have a pretty good career, Steve's 2-year-olds of all seem to be running well. Get Ricardo Santana Jr. I sided with this one.
I thought that Don't Wait Up was an interesting first turn. Flirted with putting this one on top for Tony Dutcher. I noticed that Tony and the same owner claimed both of the Klarovich winners on yesterday's card. This horse worked 9 4/5 the 2-year-old sale, and when usually they work those fast, and this horse looked fast, they'll sell for a lot. But this one, as you say, had no pedigree, and you're absolutely right. I mean, obviously, first foals and the Dam of the Eight is the only one that did any running. You're absolutely right about that. I was kind of looking forward to seeing the upstarts do well. We were talking about firsters. You think about Reinvestment Risk, who last year an upstart who looked so impressive first time out. So I thought this horse was dangerous from a speed perspective, but that's just guessing. Listen, you've got a Todd Pletcher first time star, the number 2 Power Agenda.
And that mare was multiple graded stakes placed. I want to say out in California, if I'm not mistaken. She was the only other one. Couple of solid gate drills, 47-2, 47-1 coming into this. I'm not the biggest fan of the gate drill, the work before, but this horse has went to the gate in her last 2 starts. Maybe he shows a little speed.
I think what really matters as far as works or workout reports, and the DRF one is something a lot of people use, and it's clear to me, and I didn't speak to him, but the workout reports must be good for the 2 Power Agenda, because David Aragona makes the morning line, made this horse Power Agenda 9 5, which he will normally do when the workout reports are fairly strong. So I'm assuming that's the case. So this horse probably is one that will take money. And listen, one thing I would love to have come out of this race is a runner or two that we can say, now those are some nice colts, because right now there is a real dearth of good-looking 2-year-old colts out there. There's some nice fillies out there, but the colts, they're a little wanting at this point. Now, that can change a lot.
Right. I mean, Witt's prohibitive favorite right now, but a hopeful based on what we've seen. Based on what we've seen.
No question about it. Absolutely.
Right?
No question about it. I don't think Steve's going to be coming back with that horse that won last week. Now, maybe he will.
Probably a little too quick, right?
Well, it is 4 weeks. Not impossible.
Not
that horse was good. I'd love to see that horse square against Witt. I mean, Witt's been faster, but that horse was good. So I wouldn't say it's impossible.
You might be
grade
right.
1,
You might be right.
Race number 7.
It's the hopeful.
Absolutely. It gives people hope.
Hope dies last.
Race number 7. I had a whole lot of horses in there I didn't particularly like, and 2 like you that we had on 1-2. I'll hope Assiduously can run back to the race 2 back. If you watch the race, she ran 2 back. We'll show her running second to Junkanoo. Now, Junkanoo didn't run that well yesterday, but that was in a completely different world of horses than is in this field today. And last time out, getting caught 3 wide chasing the entire way on the outside is really not the way you want to go. And I'll be honest, I actually Assiduously ran okay last time, considering the wide trip chasing. So I don't think the last race was really that bad. I'll take him, but we'll go back to Restored Order while you talk about him and show him wiring the field. Obviously, you're optimistic he can wire the field today.
If this was the final week of the meet, right, these 2 horses dropping in from the 80 for the 40, everybody would be saying, they're trying to catch Mike Maker. That's exactly what they would say.
Well, by the final week, they'll all be trying to catch Chad Brown.
Right, well, I agree with that, but that's what I'm saying. If it was the final week. We can show
Restored Order's win from Saratoga 3
back.
Yeah,
basically, you said it, Andy. I'm just hoping this horse can just bottom this field out and just keep on going. They're in for the 2 life for a reason. Most of them don't like to win. Most of them don't like to pass horses, and if you can get this horse in front, and I mean, he's supposed to be in front in here.
Well,
KK Ichikawa to me.
KK Ichikawa's about as much chance to be near the front in this race as you and I in a horse.
Well, I mean, there's no other ones. I guess Extreme Force coming out of the sprints, trying the turf for the first time.
How can Extreme Force not be forward here? How can Just in Time for Wine not be forward in this race? How did Rating do for him last time out?
They rated him last time,
and he stunk.
Yes,
this horse needs to be forward. On paper, this is actually a fast pace. Now, the amount of times that on paper races are fast paces around here and their actual fast paces are somewhere around never. But on paper,
a quarter
this is
to
a fast
never.
pace. Right. But on paper, this is a fast pace. And I'll tell you something. If you're Mike Maker with Extreme Force and Jose Ortiz, and you're, Kirk Wyckoff, and you're telling Jose, rate him in here, then You're not the people I think you are.
You're not the leading owner. You're not fighting for the leading owner.
Trainer and leading owner right now in the game.
Rating horse coming out of sprint
races. The reality is, this horse could be in front. Now, I'm not saying he will. There's a lot of intention. But if I'm Kirk, I'm telling Jose, you're going, dude. I don't care how fast you go. You're going to be in front of Restored Order.
You're going to yell it like that?
Yeah. You may have to around here. But I think you have to. So I think it's very interesting to see how this pace plays out. I don't disagree, and with the Restored Order having the inside position, but these guys got to go. Because if they don't go, they shouldn't even be bothering to run today. So we'll see what happens. I thought more like it, a little interesting off the Ray Handle claim. For what it's worth, Ray is 4 for 16 off the claim on the turf with a healthy ROI due to a big priced winner. 8 of them hit the board, but I thought it was a little bit interesting. And that horse had at one time good form, has obviously lost it, but maybe sometimes off the claim they get back to the better form.
Sure.
And it's not like either the 3 or 4 are particularly reliable or particularly good. And, both of them are suspect drop-downs. So I don't think we'd be surprised if either one of them doesn't show up today. Race number 8. Race number 8 is a sensational $1 allowance race. I don't think we'll see the 106 buyer that we saw from that tremendous one in opening weekend, but this one is going to be very strong. And we'll start the discussion out with the horse that I guess is going to be favored. I've got him 4th. He's not my 4th choice to win the race, but I'm looking for a little bit more price. If Ducali runs back to that fig, and we'll see how Askin for Baskin runs in today's second race, he might be pretty good. This horse.
Yes. This horse was he ran well in his debut at Churchill, but this was a bit of a breakthrough performance. A 97 buyer speed figure came and got Askin for Baskin, who was on the front end. They beat the rest of them by a very long way. Always something that you want to keep in mind, and always something that you want to make note of. Yeah, I mean, if he comes back with a figure relative to the one he ran last time, he's going to be very tough.
You like the one Mahamel?
I like Mahamel.
Is it Mahamel?
I believe it's Mahamel. And
right.
I would assume, last time out, this horse did not have the best of starts. The commenters hit gate, and he just didn't have the best of start. I don't want to say he was going to be closer to Bo Liam and Witzel because, like you mentioned,
I thought he broke fine in that race. I don't believe it.
No, you see, I thought there was a little bit of a stutter step, and the commenters hit gate. I can't really tell what it was.
There's a lot of hit gate start here. There's a lot of poor starts around here.
I don't think he
had
a lot
of chart comments about the starts here that show a bias.
I'll say this. He's supposed to be in front in here. I don't know if that's enough, but he's supposed to be in front of these horses.
No. That's a very fair opinion. I'm not going to argue with that.
And I think I want the horse.
That's a very fair opinion, yeah.
I think I want the horse whose first 2 races were very good. He did not embarrass himself last time.
Fine. That race has proven to be as live as the figure suggests. No, I think you're.
I think he's going to be the controlling speed in a race where, yes, there are some other horses in here. Ducali. Well, you'll talk about
this is a pivotal race for him.
I don't. 100% correct. Now, he will not come back in the Allen Jerkins because it's only 2 weeks.
Well, none of them will.
None of them will. But I think last time the plan probably was.
Of course, last time was a prep for the Jerkins.
So now it's, you're calling a little bit of an audible.
Also, his last race, I think it should be noted, he was supposed to run on July 5th in the Dwyer, and he had a fever and he missed that race.
Right.
So I think it's also fair to say he was coming back a little bit quickly. Obviously, he was doing well, and he ran well in there. But I think
on a bit of an audible.
Yeah, and I think you could be right. He could be the speed. Now, I think Manny's going to be aggressive with Ducal, but you're not wrong. Mahamel may just be a faster horse. So I can't argue with any of that. I think we're both excited to see Speaker's cornerback, horse we've talked about quite a bit. We'll take a look at his win. I mean, this is a race where Cotto River, I know he's fallen apart, but he was a pretty good horse, finished 2nd. Greatest Honor, a multiple stakes winner, finished 3rd. Miles D, who ran 2nd in the Curlin. He's trying the Travers, finished 4th. Bourbonic ran about 87th in here. This was the strongest maiden race run, and this is a horse that was incredibly highly touted first time out, blew the break, and ran 3rd, but he ran to his the talk, and you see the fig and say, well, it's an 80. Where's he going? Well, that was an 80 as a 2-year-old that could easily turn to the 90s here. Bill Mott does not have great numbers in these situations, though. You've got the horse laid up. We have a stat for him, right?
Now, I'm going to tell you a little something. Yeah, we do have a stat.
He's going to have to come back and be really ready to run to beat him. I hope he does, though.
I'm going to tell you this. Along those lines, when this overnight came out, up by breakfast at Saratoga in the box area in the morning. Bill usually stops by. We exchange pleasantries, and I told him how excited we both were for Speaker's Corner. He wanted to run this horse 9 furlongs, and the race didn't go. So as far as fitness is concerned, he is not worried about this horse being fit. He was ready to run this horse 1.125 miles off of this layoff. So
what does that mean, though?
What does that mean? It means 7 is a very tough distance to come back at, especially
as opposed to 9 furlongs.
But that's my point. My point is, if he thought this horse was fit enough to go 9 furlongs off a 10-month break, I don't think the 7's going to be a problem.
I never thought it was.
I think a lot of people would.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of people think.
I think the problem is he may just be running against a very tough horse, and I think that's the same for the horse that I picked on top in this race, Defeater. And we're going to show his race, and we're going to show the start of his race down at Fairgrounds. Now, Big Lake came back and was 3rd in the Rebel. He totally blew the break in here. Now, to be fair, he got a pretty solid pace to close into. But he badly blew the break, was back to last, and he was a horse stretching out that figured to be forward in this race. Big Lake was a solid 3rd in the Rebel in his next start. He got injured after that for Steve Asmussen, has not been seen since. But I got to tell you something, this horse really ran. Now, I'm not unrealistic. He is coming back in a monstrously tough spot, and he's probably not good enough to beat these horses at this point. But you are talking about a horse that ran an 87 Beyer 6 months ago. So if you're going to suggest that Speaker's Corner could potentially pick up those points,
sure,
then why can't it be Defeater? And Defeater, to me, is going to be the clear-cut 4th choice among this group. And listen, do I think he's the likeliest? Not even close. He might be the 4th likeliest winner in the group. He might be the 3rd likeliest winner. But I don't think he's the 8-1 he probably is going to be in this race. So I don't mind taking a small shot with him. I don't have any illusion that he's going to win this race.
He'll probably be the 5th choice because they'll bet 10 for 10 again.
Well, I like him over 10 for 10. And, 10 for 10 I think will improve off that effort, and he did make a bit of a middle move in the last race. But having said that...
Is he a little bit better with a little more distance?
Well, here's the thing, though. I don't know.
You said it.
I don't know, but he's got 3 figures that are exactly the same. And the only good fig he has, when he got absolutely loose on the lead on a wet track in the Remsen and lost a race he shouldn't have lost.
Should not have lost that
race. And Brookton Strong, as well as he ran, hasn't run a step since that race.
Hasn't.
So I'm starting to wonder with 10 for 10 just how good he really is.
Fair
and this
enough.
is not an easy field to not know how good a horse really is.
Not.
So I'd rather take this horse. Maybe
rather take Defeater at 8-1 than 10 for 10 at 5-1. No question about it.
Even Will Sing for Wine is no bum. To be honest. So this is a terrific race.
He's older catching the 3-year-olds.
But his last race was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
It really was. So race number 9, the Saratoga Special, a field of 10 will go to post. We've got some nice fields for the Saratoga Special and Sanford this year. I got to tell you something. We'll show Dr. Jeff's maiden race, and, one thing, I do not believe in that he could have gone faster line. This horse could have gone faster. This horse was literally eased. Now, I'm not saying he would have gone a second faster, but he would have gone 2/5 of a second faster in this race, and his fig would have been mid-80s.
He could have shaded.
Watch this. This
sub 110.
Absolutely eased at the wire.
Right.
He's going to build on that thing, and you can see that gap gets closed because Joel just eased him.
He could have finished sub 110. I think he could have finished sub 110.
I don't, but I think he could have gone a couple of ticks of a second faster.
Yeah.
He
had a real hold of him. I know it's an off-the-turf race. It wasn't off the turf race last time. I wouldn't let that bother me. His fig is so much faster than everybody else in here. And just the way he did it on the front end, well within himself. Yeah,
I think he's one of the better 2-year-olds colts that we've seen so far this year. I'm looking forward to him running.
This is not the toughest bunch he's going to find.
It's hard to get overly excited about anybody here. You look at the Double Thunder race, and horses that make the kind of runs that he did, and we'll show you Double Thunder, he blows the break. He does. He blows the break. He's a length and a half, legitimate length and a half slow. He jumped up at the start. He got an unbelievably good ride from Johnny after that, coming up the rail, cutting the corner. But let me ask you a question. Isn't Glacial the horse you kind of want out of the race? Because he's the one that was doing the dirty work up front in a race that fell apart.
Mixing it up.
So, I'll put it this way. I think that, Anthony, this is an interesting race to show for Double Thunder and compare it to the horse that you like that I don't like earlier in the day, Cecilia Mike. They both had bad breaks, and this horse won because the pace fell apart the same way the other ran. Yeah. And I think this horse ran okay. At least he won, but he was aided by a fast pace that collapsed. And let's be honest, a woefully slow race.
Well, that's what I was going to say. For a pace that was as fast as it was, they came. You could have clocked them with an egg timer coming home, and
well, nobody else came home.
Nobody else.
Did he
came
close,
home.
or did just nobody else run down
It just
the
looked
stretch?
like everybody just came back,
Right.
and he moved forward a little bit. Yeah, I didn't. Well, you and I are on the same exact page. We don't have him anywhere.
I also think he's going to get bet. It's
'Cause
Todd.
it's Todd. He
won a
stakes faced.
stake.
Yep.
It's an impressive-looking running line.
Yep, no question about it.
I just don't know if he's that good. I'm going to try the one Nakatomi.
You have seen Die Hard, right?
I love Die Hard.
Okay.
I've already commented that this is for Die Hard fans, Nakatomi. I like the Die Hard movies.
Love
you know
the Die
the
Hard
one
movies.
at the phone booth, and the one with Sam
by-
Jackson.
yeah, by-
That's
yeah,
my apartment.
yeah.
Sean saw them filming it.
Die Hard's one
Sean
of the
was down for Dead shows, and he was out early getting the papers, and
Die
he saw them
Hard,
filming
one
it.
of the best Christmas movies there is.
It's one of the best movies. It's great. That was when they made good popcorn movies, the good old days.
Best popcorn movie,
The
yeah.
thing is, this horse beat Happy Soul. I know she's a filly, but Happy Soul did come back and run 2 straight A1 buyers. Now the question is, did the Happy Soul that ran those subsequent races run that day, or was it sort of a different Happy Soul? On the other hand, Wesley Ward thought enough to take a shot and bring the horse out to Ascot, despite the horse not really having much of a turf pedigree.
At all.
So I thought this horse was a dangerous horse because I don't like Gunite, the horse you have second. Took 3 starts to break his maiden, was even money. Brigadier General ran 14 buyer points worse in a maiden race last week, and I'm wondering if that 73 buyer isn't more like a 60.
Okay.
That's my concern with that horse.
Okay.
I want to have the 10 Glacial. What about Dance Code, who got completely eliminated at the break last time out and did finish 3rd in there? I mean, that horse ran a 68 first time out and then had trouble last time. Why can't that horse be a factor here at a price?
Could. Absolutely could.
You didn't put Lee's horse 4th in here.
I did, yeah, of course. I think Lee's horse. I think the 11 High Oaks going to want some more ground, and I don't think there's nothing in here that scares me, Andy.
You know the horse that he beat is at the 8th pole now, and he ran 3 weeks
listen,
ago.
I'm well aware of it, but
That race was timed with a sundial.
I got the whole thing, but I
know
also
Lee thinks he wants more ground.
I also think this horse. I do too. I think this horse wants more ground. He runs like a horse that wants more ground. He's
Like
going
a
to get an
mile
extra
or more
furlong.
ground? Like a mile
He's
and a
gonna get
half?
another furlong
You think
today.
he's the Birdstone, the early
Andy,
favorite for the Birdstone in
Andy,
2024?
He's getting more ground in a field of against a bunch of
Think maybe they
horses
just keep running
that
long enough,
have
he'll
not
pass
been
somebody?
They have not run fast races. These horses. And this horse is going to be
relative to this guy, they've been virtual terrors out there.
Okay.
Race number 10. I appreciate your loyalty. It even extends to the 4-star Dave. I think it's very touching. I really do. You know, I get it, but these horses are slow. Raging Bull in the 4-star Dave, the grade 1. He drew well on the rail. I thought he ran very well last time out. He was closer to a pace that incinerated. Alexandra benefited, another horse who benefited from a mediocre break because the pace was so quick. Another example of that happening. And a horse like Raging Bull wants to get his momentum outside of
Yes.
horses. And the other horse just ultimately probably had a better trip when you consider the dynamics of this race. He's got the rail on the good rail on this course. He's supposed to be very tough. And when he ran bad in this race last year, he got caught out wide in a race that was completely dominated by inside runners.
Oh, again, that's when the rails came down and Halliday
Yes.
was just able to control on the front end.
And they all were
Now,
on the rail that time.
excuse me, at the age of 6, he's been closer to faster paces.
Yep.
It's a
better horse this year.
He's the best
He's
he's
more
probably
tactical.
ever been.
He's more
tactical, and that's
Yep.
ordinarily goes the other way, right? As they get older, they kind of lose that speed. He's found it, and his last 2 races, I mean, if he runs either of his last 2 races, he's going to win this race.
I agree.
He's going to win this race.
Totally agree. The horse who will probably be second choice is Set Piece. We'll take a look at him. Field Pass as well. Finished 4th in there. I don't know what to do with Set Piece because I don't think he's good enough to be competitive in here. And he's got a closing running style, and there's a better closer in the race in Raging Bull, who also draws the rail. It's Brad Cox. I'm not going to sell his horses short. He's clearly improved. He's finally trying him. He has to try him in an important race. Field Pass was beaten 2 lengths in that race. Field Pass has not exactly distinguished himself this year. Though he didn't run that badly, frankly, the Maker's Mark. His Maker's Mark was pretty good. But I don't know. I'm circumspect to this guy, but I guess as Brad Cox, I don't want to completely say he can't win.
I mean,
so I've got him third.
This is the old, he would need Raging Bull not to show up. I personally think he would need Casa Creed not to show up. And he probably needs Blowout to not show up.
Well,
and to think that
I
all
don't know
three
about
of them
that.
aren't going to show up, I don't think it's realistic.
He's run 2 pretty good figures in his last 2 races.
He has,
so
but Andy, he's beating,
I don't know which race Casa Creed has that can beat him, but we'll take a look at Casa Creed winning the Jaipur last time out. And I don't agree with them that he had a bad post last time. I believe he would have won the Jaipur. On the other hand, the Jaipur was $200,000 grade 2 or 3, and this is a $500,000 grade 1.
Race,
the Troy.
Yeah,
the Troy. He ran in here, but this is a race that fell apart. Chewing Gum, who's dramatically inferior to these kind of horses, finished second. And I think at the end of the day, what we found with Casa Creed is that he wanted to sprint all along. I understand trying the grade 1, though he already has a grade 1 win. I get the allure of it. The purse is good. But what race does he have at a mile that gives him a chance to win here?
Yeah, I thought his race last year, I know he was helped by being inside.
He was on the rail the whole way.
Yeah, he was inside. I got it.
Well, you can't use it against others. And
No, listen, I admit it.
If Lee didn't own this horse, would you have picked him second?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why I would have picked him second.
Okay.
Well,
I don't think you would have.
I would have probably picked him second because I think the knee-jerk reaction is blowout, right?
No, we'll get to blowout.
Well,
why is Casa Creed the second likeliest winner according to you?
Well,
in
I
this race?
think Casa Creed, though I know the plan today is to be closer than he is in this round. I mean,
of course
obviously.
he'll be closer.
So I would imagine he's going to be laying third to blow out and Whisper not.
I don't, but okay.
Okay. I don't like Whisper not. Again, blowout's the knee jerk because it looks like she's going to be able to try to clear.
We'll talk about it in a second.
out.
Why is this horse, regardless of blowout?
I'm not so certain blowout is going to be able to pull that off, and he figures to be the one to come calling first on her.
I don't agree with any of that.
Okay.
But, okay. Good luck with that. I think he's shown clearly that these one-turn sprints
and you might be
are
right.
absolutely what he wants.
I don't think
I'd
you're
love
wrong,
to be wrong, and I'd love to see Lee do well.
But I don't think
I think he's
horse.
the sucker horse in this race.
Okay.
I do.
See, I think set pieces.
Okay.
We don't have any lunch bets yet.
No, I don't. I'm not going to bet against Lee. I'm not rooting against Lee on a stupid lunch bet.
All right.
I hope I'm wrong, and he does well for Lee. I honestly do. As far as blowout, she's going. She's going to send. Now, she may go too fast, and she might not be good enough. But she's going to blow out in this race. And she's an amazing horse. She's got 12 starts. She hit the board in every one of them, first and second, 11 of them. But she's never lost a race by more than 3/4
I
of
was
length.
talking about that at breakfast this morning.
Now,
is that unbelievable?
In fairness, she's also never faced the kind of field that she's facing
No.
today. So, obviously, the races you run in, but she has run some pretty remarkable races. I mean, she was forced to chase a fast pace that benefited Villadera, who got a perfect trip to beat her nose. She ran about 1,000 times better than Villadera in the Noble Damsel 3 races back and lost by a neck. I thought she ran, extremely well last year when she lost that allowance race to Sweet By and By. It was a very nice horse coming off a layup. I mean, it's not as though she hasn't met some good horses and run very well in the context of those races, and she's going to be trying to lead them on a merry chase today.
And she has a guy on her back in Joel Rosario that is very good at doling out speed and stealing these races on the front end.
He's very good at going fast and understanding that you got to go fast to bottom out
He's
fields. That's what he does better than any other rider in the game.
keeping these speed horses together as well. So, I mean,
I don't know if she's good enough. At the end of the day, she may not be, but
she may not
I
be
think she's
fast
going to be
enough,
a
but she's
square enough
supposed to have
price.
a big enough
You got to use her.
See, that was my other problem with her. I think people might agree with you with Casa Creed. I think she might take.
I'll bet you as many lunches that you want that she will be a bigger price than Casa Creed. You name it. It's 78 lunches.
I'll bet you one lunch.
Okay.
I'll take
one of
lunch.
78.
I'll take one lunch.
Okay.
They're only 2 points different on the morning line.
Or one of them's 50% higher. You could bet more than one lunch. I
want
offered the gamut of
I want a little
78.
action.
You could go to get even.
I want a little action.
Okay. Just trying to get to 156 quickly. Race number 11 closes out today's card. We'll take a look at the horse Anthony picked on top, and I picked second when he made his only turf start, and this was back in 2020, and he lost to Maxwell Esquire, who would probably win this race.
That's it. I didn't have much else. I don't know what's taking so long. Source was rained off the turf a couple of times. Got beat a nose and 3 parts of a length in those 2 races. Phil Bauer, who's come to play
he's in New York
year.
bred, and he didn't stay in New York.
Yeah, I got it.
So
Phil Bauer, who's come to play. I think he was
why.
also entered in one of the.
Why did he stay in New York?
I don't know. I have no idea what his horses
You know,
in
the New York bred start with an advantage,
They
Anthony.
do, yes.
I don't know if you've heard that.
I have.
Yeah.
I've heard a number of
If you
people
take
tell
them
me
to
too.
Churchill,
Tom
they
Durkin,
give
Steve Summers said it a couple of times.
Najee Thompson.
Najee Thompson.
By the way, Najee is pretending to be a soccer fan again. I know it was just bad enough when Najee pretended during World Cup he was a soccer fan. It's really.
Does he wear jerseys?
Oh, of course he does. Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
He's got all the tricks.
Ridiculous.
I don't disagree. The one thing I'll say, though, and I bet him last in that race behind Maxwell Esquire, it was a race that fell apart. So it kind of fell into his wheelhouse. And I don't think it's fair to say, well, he's almost as good as Maxwell Esquire, therefore he's going to beat this.
No,
I'm not saying you're saying that,
right.
but I think there's a bit of that perception.
I don't think that at all.
But
it could appear that way.
And, you know, I mean, the horse in a way to beat is the 4, Dr. Blute. And I just think he lost that good form. And I'm going to be honest with you.
That race 2 back
there are
was
a lot of
just
horses
not
for John
good.
Kimmel that have looked good on paper this meet that have not run particularly
I don't
well.
disagree
I'm a
with
little
that
circumspect on those horses. I have to bet a horse in this race.
Who do you have to bet, Andy?
I don't know, Anthony. It's not that hard. I've got him on top. That'll be a hint. Okay? I have to bet Halpert. Halpert, to me, is a very interesting horse. He was involved in a wicked, wicked pace meltdown in his debut. And going probably farther than he wants to go, he actually had run that badly, beaten 7 lengths, when you consider how that race incinerated. So I was looking to bet him back on the turf. He got rained off. I bet what's my category at 5-1, and this horse came and beat me by a nose in that race.
Oh, that got you up the inside?
Yeah, that came up the rail and beat me the last
okay.
stop. Yeah, I was like, I wanted to barf. His last race, he broke about a half slow. He completely dropped out. I don't know. He was a little bit of traffic. He was coming off a long layoff.
Listen.
I want to give him one. He didn't run that badly. I've got a contract with this horse. I was going to pick at 7-6, and I thought, why am I picking the 4-1 shot instead of the 15-1 shot when I know I'm betting on Halpert. Win, lose, or draw, I know I'm betting him, so I'm going to bet him, and I'll play him in the exactas with the logical horses
You
in
talked
here.
me into using him a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit interesting. I wish he ran a little more last time, but to be fair, it was off a layoff.
Who was the horse that you have to bet in here now?
Clamor.
You're not supposed to say another horse's name. You're not supposed to say that.
Did anything bad happen to you on Friday the 13th yesterday? Anything other than the usual bad things that happened to you? Other than waking up in the morning?
Something to you. You could take that Friday the 13th and send it to Siberia.
If you think it's tough getting through the day, say to yourself, it could be worse.
Friday the 13th.
I could be Anthony Stabile.
My
But you know how
neige.
you could make your life better? You could head over to Naira Bets
Yes, you
and
could.
use the promo code SPA200, and we will match the $200 of your initial deposit. Play through Naira Bets. Keep the money in the game. The bankroll builder. 50 to win in the 4-star Dave. You get $20 towards the Travers, win or lose. Opt in to get the money. $25 win bet on the $20. I thought it was a $25 win bet. Yeah, I'm not wrong. This is worded incorrectly. If you bet $25, you make a $25 win bet.
If you hit a $25 win bet, you earn a $20 bonus.
You get a $20 bonus. Yeah, this is bad.
You got to opt in.
Yeah, you got
everything.
But that's inaccurate. What else? Oh, the cross country Big Five, 4 grade ones. A sad day in racing.
Yeah.
A sad day in racing at the thought of the Bev D, the Arlington Million, the Secretariat, different names, the Bruce D and the Mr. D, of course, for the Duchossois family. Probably the last day those races are being run, certainly at Arlington Park. And, you know, the Arlington Million was such a great race, and it's become such an important race in the American landscape of racing. You think of some of those tremendous races, starting out with the Bart and John Henry and that
Sure.
nose. I remember watching that at college, actually.
John Henry won in the inaugural run in
Was that
81 at 6.
Yeah.
And then again at 9 in 1984. They ran 4 Arlington Millions before they ever ran a Breeders' Cup race.
That's tremendous. Yeah, that's a good one, and they really are, and I'm glad that we'll be showing them. And we're on, by the way, from 1 to 7:30 today, not 1 to 7, and we'll be covering those races from Arlington. And it is a sad day in racing to think, and that Arlington's preparing to close. And you've ever been to Arlington?
When I was 4 years old.
That was a different track when it was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I was there as a tent when they were rebuilding, and I was there. I went out to the Dead. The World Amphitheater in 1990, which turned out to be the last shows of Brent Midland before he passed away. There we go. We got it fixed. Thank you very much, Ben. And we went to Arlington, me and my friends, and it's just an absolutely beautiful racetrack. And I think to a person that tells you they went to Arlington, they will all tell you it's one of the absolute nicest racetracks in the world. And it's a sad day that we're
is.
potentially running the last 3 those races, but I'm glad and proud that we're showing them on
Wrap up
Saturday
week
Night
5
Live.
tomorrow?
We do. But a lot of good stuff coming up today. 11 races. You have a wonderful day. The man, the voice of New York racing, John Imbrial, up in just a few moments after a live edition of the National Anthem. Johnny will bring you the reprise, the scratches and changes.